What's going on, guys? Styx here with the Token Minorities, bringing you the team builder for the finals of CPC Season 6 up against King L5 and his Oakland Roseraiders. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, it helps us out a ton, and let's just do more cool stuff for you guys. And if you have not done so already, please feel free to check out the TTM Discord that will be linked in the description below, where we have channels for not only draft content from myself, but also Jolt and Crobat for the win, in addition to channels for TCG and Smogon as well. So if any of that interests you, please feel free to check that out. But yeah, let's just go ahead and hop right into the team. Like I said, we are up against L5 and his Oakland Roseraiders, and his team consists of Landorus Incarnate. Unfortunately, it is Sheer Force, so that makes it a lot more difficult to deal with. Weavile, Metagross, Keldeo, Whimsicott, Donphan, Dragalge, Mega Charizard, Y, Xurkitree, and Corsola, with Xurkitree and Dragalge being his Z users. So this is very, very difficult. First thing I'm noticing is that just pressure. I mean, he has some of the best balance breakers in all of draft format, particularly the Landorus and the Mega Charizard Y. And unfortunately, I mean, I look at his team and I think Gengar has a fantastic matchup, but Weavile is literally just a free pursuit trap. Like, Gengar, it can kill something maybe. I mean, Dragalge is annoying, but I can switch out against that thing, meanwhile damaging it with Shadow Balls and whatnot. But then that freaking Weavile is preventing me from being able to bring Gengar, who would otherwise have an absolutely phenomenal matchup. So that's very difficult to deal with. But I am thinking that, okay, his offense is very, very potent. I just had to try to out-offense him. Like, he doesn't have any form of speed control like Jake did with the Trick Room, or Mio did with his insane priority. I mean, yes, there's still priority in, like, Whimsicott Tailwind. There's also Weavile's Ice Shard, Metagross's Bullet Punch. But other than that, he really does not have a lot for a high amount of speed. Like, a high amount of speed will give him big, big problems. And so that's ultimately going to be what I'm trying to build this team around, is speed. You can already see that Alolan Raichu, you see the Tapu Koko, but I'm also building for speed with the Necrozma set that I am bringing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I noticed that I can outspeed him, and that is going to be the whole strategy of this game, is get hazards up, outspeed and pressure, and then go from there. So first off, we have my Tapu Koko, which I think has come to every single game this season, except for the meme match against Risepool, just because Tapu Koko is so good. Even in matchups where it doesn't have a good matchup, it still enables so many other things on your team and forces prep out of your opponent. In this case, you can see that I'm running dual momentum, so I'm able to just get momentum, scout out his switch-ins, whatever he wants to go into, and then Tapu Koko can, yeah, just be like, okay, well, you switched into this, I get to go into this threat, or you decided to go to your ground type, well, I can smack that thing with a Dazzling Gleam, or a Z Dazzling Gleam in this case, which is very, very spammable against his team. The only resist he has for Z Dazzling Gleam is his Metagross, and Metagross I'll be either Volt Switching or U-turning out on that thing anyway, just chipping it down for things like Necrozma and Raichu late game. So just very straightforward Tapu Koko, dual momentum with Dazzling Gleam for the spammable Z move. Actually, I completely forgot about Mega Charizard Y, but I don't really consider that a switch into Tapu Koko because of, you know, the whole electric terrain and electric moves thing. Kind of puts a damper on Mega Charizard Y's day. But I also have Roost, because this started out as a Calm Mind Thunderbolt and Dazzling Gleam set with, I think, U-turn. I believe that was the first iteration of Tapu Koko. But then I realized that my Necrozma and my Raichu were my two win cons. Tapu Koko just was there to really enable and get off a big hit on something, particularly his Assault Vest Mons that I'm thinking he's going to be bringing, in order to set them up for Necrozma and Raichu to be able to take over the game later. So from there, I was like, okay, well, Tapu Koko is no longer my win con. Let's just put dual momentum on it in Volt Switch and U-turn, and then Thunderbolt was still there, but I realized that there's nothing that I really want to Thunderbolt rather than Volt Switch. I mean, with the exception of Charizard Y potentially living a potentially living a Volt Switch versus a Thunderbolt. However, I mean, I still have Incineroar to switch into Charizard, so that's not that huge of a deal. And also, I mean, Coco and Raichu both Revenge Kill the Charizard in addition to that. So I'm just in a good spot in general with my Tapu Koko, so I opted for Roost, not expecting to click it all that much, but in a situation where I'm in against like Whimsicott or something like that, I want my Tapu Koko to get back to full health so that Weavile's Ice Shard spam doesn't just completely kill me. Then that'll be a situation that I would like to address. The speed is for Weavile, speed creeping Mega Pidgeot, and I threw a little bit extra in there just in case he got very aggressive with his as well. I think I could have gone with like 377 and that would have been sufficient, but I was like, no, just in case he tries to creep that, I'm going to go 2 points higher. So that's what I went for with that. And then Ferrothorn is the first mon of my hazard stacking strategy in this game. Swampert and Ferrothorn will combine for rocks and spikes. Ferrothorn just does very, very well against this team with the exception of Mega Charizard Y, but with that thing, all I need to do is just get chip damage off on it. If I can get rocks up, that will be sufficient for Raichu and Necrozma to take it out, but otherwise, I mean, Ferrothorn, all I need is the one spike, and I need a single switch into my Incineroar in that process. So, I mean, Ferrothorn's just there. Get a spike up for the residual damage on his grounded stuff. Leech Seed is very spammable against his team. It gets chip damage on really everything that's not Whimsicott, and Whimsicott doesn't like coming in just because Whimsicott's something that I can just Gyro Ball or set up more spikes on. So really, whatever wants to come in on this Ferrothorn is going to be annoyed by the set at the very least. So yeah, just straight up spikes, Leech Seed, Gyro Ball, and Protect, just because Protect plus Leech Seed is very annoying. Also can help burn a Z-move if he wants to go for that, or I can, even though I'm expecting Xurkitree to be the Z user, I can also scout out HP Fires, and the EVs and specific Akaberry, the EVs and the Akaberry allow me to live a timid max invested HP Fire from Xurkitree. Like if he comes in and he HP Fires, I eat my Akaberry as I Leech Seed him. After a Protect, I will be able to live another HP Fire. So that's what the Special Defense in the Akaberry helps for. But more specifically, the EVs were to guaranteed live without rocks. Weavile, Life Orb Weavile's knockoff into Low Kick, so that's kind of something that I'm going for with my Ferrothorn with this set. But yeah, just Spikes, Leech Seed, and then Gyro Ball getting off good damage on like Weavile, Whimsicott, that type of thing. I'm going to skip over Necrozma because I'm going to come back to that later as I'm talking about my Raichu. But let's talk about Swampert. Swampert is the other half of the Hazards Pressure with just a very standard, like this is probably the most standard Swampert that I brought all season. I mean, like, not necessarily like, what am I trying to say? This Swampert is basically like every other Swampert I brought this season. I'm like, okay, do I need it to be Spidef or Fizdef? Need it to be Spidef? Okay, Max, Rindo Berry, Protect, Scald, Earthquake, and Stealth Rock, you got it. That's really my Swampert set, and the combination of Ferrothorn and Swampert is my check to Xurkitree, because Swampert can actually take a +2 Energy Ball if I'm... Even after rocks and a spike, I think it does around 80% to Swampert, a +2 Energy Ball does. I think, pretty sure that a +3 will be able to kill me, but I mean, if he's Tail Glow, then that's... Yeah, if he's Tail Glow, then that's going to be really scary, but that's where I have my Raichu to try to revenge it, and also getting damage off on him in the process. But either way, Stealth Rock, Scald, Earthquake, Protect, just very solid for his team overall. Scald just kind of spammable, Fish for burns, Earthquake for extra damage on like Metagross and Dragouge and Xurkitree, that type of thing. And Protect in conjunction with Leech Seed, I can get extra damage back with Swampert. And also a Choiced Keldeo is very, very annoying for my team. So just being able to go into Swampert on it, or it would come in on Swampert rather while I got up rocks. I can Protect to see what move it wants to go for, and then I can switch accordingly, and then just max Spidef, like I said, for the ability to take on that Xurkitree and take a hit from it and KO it back with Earthquake. And next up, we have my one-time Zard Y switch in, and I believe this is probably like the second non-meme game that I've brought Incineroar to, and both times it's been a Chople set that's designed to switch into a big threat a single time. This time, it is going to be Charizard Y, because my team really just does not have switch-ins for it, and considering with Ferrothorn and Swampert, Charizard Y is able to come in super easily on those, and especially because I'm not going to bother predicting the Zard Y coming in. I'm just going to immediately take those opportunities to get up either rocks or a spike or something to that effect. Just get up my hazards, because hazards are so important for Necrozma and Raichu sweeping late game. I just have to have something to switch into Zard once, because otherwise, with rocks up, Necrozma, Raichu, and Coco all take it out very, very easily, and I can afford to sack off my Pert and my Ferrothorn, that's what that thing's called, after I get said hazards up. But Incineroar is just like, okay, Zard isn't going to just be able to destroy me early game with the investment that I have. I mean, just Flare Blitz, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Thunder Punch. Unfortunately, Incineroar does not get a rock move, but Thunder Punch actually really works on my team because, one, I have Electric Terrain, and two, in this matchup, if he wants to switch out his Zard, if he's suspecting the Choppleberry on my end, he's probably going to go into his Keldeo, because he's like, okay, he probably has a rock move. I mean, if he might know that Incineroar doesn't get any rock moves, but he might just be like, okay, Keldeo resists its dual stab, it also resists U-turn, I'm just going to go straight into that thing, and then I can hit it with a super effective Adamant Thunder Punch, which will do an absolute crap load to it. So it works really, really well on this team. The investment gives me a very good chance to live either Timid Fire Blast into Focus Blast or Modest Flamethrower into Focus Blast. Gives me a very good chance. I couldn't get really guaranteed, like I'd throw some into Spadef if I really wanted that guarantee, but really I just wanted Incineroar to kind of come in, scare out the Charizard once, force it to like come back in on rocks or something to that effect, and go from there. Just kind of a way of taking out Zard early on, or just having a response to it to where it can't just obliterate me and break me from the beginning. Then 8 speed, I was just like, well, maybe he'll creep, maybe he'll just creep no speed Incineroar, so I threw that in there just because there really wasn't anything else relevant that I wanted to put it in. Finally, I'm going to get to my Necrozma, because Necrozma and Raichu are my two ways of winning this game. They will break for each other, and one of them will win the game. The first one is the set that I am most proud of, and that is going to be an Autotomized Photon Geyser Heatwave HP Ice Necrozma. Now, this set originally started off as a modest set with Photon Geyser, Heatwave, and Power Gem, as that covered his team very, very nicely, covered everything. I mean, it obliterated Zard Y and just was a good all-around Mon to be able to sweep late in the game, especially with the Pinch Berry that I had on it. However, I did not outspeed Scarf Keldeo or Scarf Landorus I, which were able to come in and revenge kill me. So it was kind of decided that, okay, if I'm going to get an Autotomize up, I cannot afford to have those things outspeeding me. So even though I lose a bit of power, actually I lose a decent amount of power. I lose like 30 points of power in running Timid. The ability to outspeed everything on his team after an Autotomize was just way too good to pass up. And the reason I decided on HP Ice over Power Gem was because Landorus I is such a threat that I just need to take that thing out as soon as I can. Like, that thing comes in, I need to take it out. The Power Gem was originally there for Charizard Y, but I decided, okay, I have Incineroar, I have Raichu, I have Tapu Koko, I have plenty of ways to deal with Charizard Y if my Necrozma, or if it's still alive and at full when my Necrozma is able to set up. So, I mean, if rocks are up, then I am able to KO it after rocks with an odd incense Photon Geyser, so that's pretty nice. But if rocks are not up, Charizard's at full, then I cannot KO it, but I can get good chip on it to where Coco and Raichu are guaranteed able to take it out from there. So basically it just came down to the fact I had more answers to Charizard than I did to Landorus, so HP Ice was on there, so that way I just guaranteed knock out Landorus. From full, Landorus isn't quite knocked out, like it's an 87.5% chance to one-shot it, I believe, if it's 0-0, which it should very well be against me because of my Salamence. But either way, HPI is still very, very good chance to just obliterate Landorus. I want to just get that thing out of the way, because if I get it gone, then Coco looks that much better as well. So that's the set with Necrozma, max special attack, enough speed to speed creep a Choice Scarf Keldeo, speed creeping +2 modest Necrozma. I mean, if he wants to try to outspeed Timid, then that's on him, but I would think he'd either try to speed creep Salamence naturally, or he would try to speed creep a modest +2 Necrozma because that'd be the most likely set, and then throw the rest into HP so that I'm just not easily chipped down by Ice Shard and Bullet Punch, that type of thing, as I will be able to outspeed everything except for his priority. And then finally, we have a Raichu. I believe I've brought it to all 3 playoff games so far, and it hasn't done much. I'm hoping for that to change in this game, because with Magnet, Thunderbolt, HP Ice, Psyshock, and Grass Knot, I cover his team very, very nicely. The only thing that I'm not hitting super effectively will be the Metagross, I believe. Metagross and Xurkitree, but Xurkitree, I'm hoping that I can pretty easily chip that thing down, same with Metagross, to where Thunderbolt and Psyshock will be able to take those things out respectively. And then I started with Life Orb, as, I mean, that's just extra power, but I realized that I was putting myself more in range of Weavile with Life Orb, and also with rocks. So I was like, okay, I don't need to kill myself. I'm going to get sufficient chip on his team, or at least that's the goal. And then between Raichu and Necrozma, they should be able to win the game. So I just decided on Magnet, so things like Weavile get hit harder. And I actually can't hit Weavile super effectively either, but I mean, Magnet, Thunderbolt in electric terrain is basically super effective against a Weavile. But yeah, I mean, it did sufficient damage. HP Ice, Psyshock, Grass Knot still hit hard enough for me to not necessarily need the Life Orb. The speed is enough to outspeed Timid Xurkitree naturally, just because, I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine myself needing to outspeed outside of the electric terrain, so that's what I went for with that. Max special attack to hit as hard as possible, and then 112 EVs in HP, just to have as much bulk as possible. Thought about defense, but in case I need to tank like a Volt Switch or Energy Ball from full against a Xurkitree, I should be able to do that, or something to that effect. But yeah, that is the team, and hope you guys will tune in Wednesday for the championship game. But for now, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.